Hello, bonjour, konnichiwa, marhaba, yakwe, and hola. Welcome to our virtual city life recap, where you're going to have the opportunity to learn from 19 different city departments on how they work and operate. You're going to have the opportunity to also see how you can get connected and make a difference within our community. So, if you're interested in also participating in an in-person event, we offer them in fall and also in the spring. You can find us at www.cityofdubuque.org/citylife. So without further ado, let's begin. You are on. Thank you.
All righty. Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for attending and listening in on now my presentation. I'm going to tell you, though, this is going to be a really tough thing to take care of after having to follow Marie. She just did an excellent job. I even learned some things, and I've lived here my whole life and utilized most of the parks. So she just did a super job. Like I say, it's going to be tough to follow. What I'm going to try to do is give you a little bit of a presentation on our transportation services department. So I'm going to share what I presented to the city council this year with them. And when I finish this, I'm going to log off that, grab my iPad, and I'm going to take you on a little tour of our beautiful big Jewel Operations and Training Center building and through some of our buses. So if you can bear with me through all of this, and I hope my ineptness at all of these computer type things works out okay tonight. I'm going to start off giving you a little bit of information about me. Again, my name is Russ Steckline, and I am currently the acting director for Dubuque Transportation Services. I am a lifelong Dubuquer, born and raised here. I went to Resurrection Grade School. I did get an opportunity when I was in 8th grade to go to first semester to a junior high in Downers Grove, Illinois. I had an aunt and uncle that lived in that community. My uncle was a teacher. They had no children, so my family sort of acted like their children. And I got a tremendous opportunity to go to a school with 2,400 students. Very, very great experience for me coming from my Resurrection days when there was a total of 60 kids in our 2 classes in 8th grade. But I came back and graduated with my 8th grade class second semester. And I went on to Wahlert High School. I graduated from there. And prior to graduating, I was working full time for a company named Nash Finch. Nash Finch Company was a grocery store wholesaler and retailer. And I was actually, by 1980, I was the assistant manager of a grocery store in Dubuque, Iowa called the Warehouse Market. I know most of you probably wouldn't be familiar with that because it's been closed since 1986. We opened Econo Foods at that time, and I stayed with that company until 1988, when I finally was lucky enough to get hired by the Dubuque Police Department. It was my lifelong dream to become a police officer, and I took the test in 1986 with 383 other individuals and was eventually hired in December of 88. Had a great career there. I did a little bit of everything with the department. I started off on the patrol, was fortunate to be picked relatively quickly as a field training officer, worked my way up through the ranks. I was a corporal, lieutenant, and retired eventually as a captain. Some of the different entities I worked with within that department is I actually started the community policing division in 1995 with who's now Chief Mark Dalsing and Officer Corey Summer, who eventually became a corporal as well. We started that program, and I think that was one of the best things that happened for Dubuque. Most of you would know that is the bicycle patrol, and like I said, I was one of the first original founders of that, and we had a great time doing that. I loved the close knit community ties and relationships that were developed back in those days being out and approachable, and I still have a lot of those relationships and friendships today. I also spent 4 years in our drug task force. I got to spend 13 years as a police sniper, and I was very fortunate because they never while I was out quite a bit on different assignments, I was fortunate in never having to utilize that, and I was also very fortunate in, never having to have been involved in some terrible things that are kind of all over the news today with law enforcement and such. So I feel very fortunate that it was a great career and I was lucky to have that. Uh, as I stated, eventually made it to captain, and that's where I retired in 2016. And I'm going to get into the whole transportation services part now, but I'm going to talk a little bit about my family as well. I was married in 1990. I have 3 children, 2 daughters and a son. I'm very proud of, and they're doing very well in life. Unlike me, they are all college educated, and my son is actually going through college right now. And some of the other highlights from my life are I'm proud of the fact that I was able to obtain a private pilot license. I don't get to fly a lot right now because it got kind of expensive, but I do still maintain that license. And I also have a CDL, so I'm able to drive the buses. And that brings me to the Transportation Services Department. I started here, I retired from the police department in June of 2016 and was hired as a part time bus driver, just looking for something to do once I retired. And I thought this would be fun and I'd be able to maintain a lot of the same relationships, being able to hopefully see a lot of the citizens that I got to deal with at the old job and continue to have those relationships in the bus driving field. I did the part-time bus driver for approximately 1 year. And at that time, the city council asked us to look at staying open a little bit later and running our buses until 9:30 at night, and then our night riders until 3 in the morning on Friday and Saturday nights. We were closing at the time I started at about 6 o'clock. So once we expanded those hours, they needed an evening supervisor and asked me to step into that role as a part-time job and work 3 to 9 Monday through Friday with some occasional Saturdays and later nights for the night rider. Uh, Approximately a year into that, we moved down into our current facility, the JOTC, or the Jewel Operation Training Center. And when we moved to this building in January of 2019, we, I'm sorry, 2018, we also were assigned to take over the parking division. And I'll go through all of what all those facilities, et cetera, are during this budget presentation. Uh, Once we took that over, my job became full time and I became the field supervisor, which is a position I still hold today. But again, I'm the acting director right now until our new director comes on board, and that's anticipated to be approximately June 1st. We have located someone, but they have not announced that name, and he's giving notice at his old company. So I'm not allowed to provide that information, but trust me, they did an outstanding job of doing a nationwide search and got a very highly qualified gentleman to come into that and fill that position. I'm looking forward to him coming in and getting back to one job eventually. So with that, I'm going to start my PowerPoint presentation that we did for the city council. And I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on the numbers and stuff and bore you with the little things, but and I'll have allow for any questions at the end of this too. So our Transportation Services Department has a mission statement to provide transit and parking services to the citizens and visitors within the city of Dubuque, connecting people to employment and services, school, recreation, restaurants, grocery shopping, whatever they need. And our goal is to keep that very safe, accessible, convenient, consistent, and extremely professional. Our whole makeup is the director And then we have a transit advisory board. Below the director is the operations supervisor, field supervisor, and a transportation analyst. Those subjects right now are Jacob Ironside is our analyst, Justin Harris Davis is our operations supervisor, and I, again, am the field supervisor. And then below us, we oversee dispatchers, approximately 60 bus drivers, parking technicians, parking enforcement officers, and then our account clerks, et cetera, to keep our buses and all of our operations running. Our advisory board is made up currently of Robert Daughters, who is the chair, Luana Gerdeman, she's the vice chair, and Garrett Heidenreich. We also have 2 vacant spots, so if anyone would have a desire to be part of our transit advisory board, it would be greatly appreciated. And please feel free to contact me or city's clerk's office or city manager's office and express your interest, because we would love to have some additional people on board. The fiscal year 21 highlights were the purchase of 7 new minibuses, and we've just gotten those onto the road here in this last week, as we had brand new camera systems installed in all 30 of our buses, both fixed route and minibuses. We put a new fixed route fare collection system in. However, we're not utilizing that just yet because we are still fare free. That began at the beginning of COVID. We did that to limit the contact between drivers and passengers and not wanting to handle the money, et cetera, during the COVID times. So we are still not charging fares, and we're not quite sure exactly when we're going to reinstitute that. And I'm very proud of the fact that we had continual operation during the COVID-19 pandemic, although we did reduce our hours down significantly at the start of it. And then we've expanded those back open a little bit. So we're getting people home that get off work at 5 o'clock now at night. And we are getting all of the students to school in time in the morning. So we're running roughly now from 6:15 in the morning till 7:15 at night. And we are currently not running the night rider. That was assisted funding through the colleges, and they're not sure just if they want to continue with that or not as of this time, but we are currently not running that. Some of the other highlights were we were awarded a bus and bus facilities grant from the FTA, and then we opened a brand new parking lot at 12th and Elm Street, which is currently open and ready for lease down in the historic Millwork District. Some of our future initiatives, we're working on some grants right now to start to integrate electric buses into our fleet and electrify our JOTC, so we'll be able to bring the buses in and have them charge in here. And we're looking at a smart parking platform, and I'll get into a little bit more of that in a minute. And then update our existing parking ramps and make them safe, and try to derive many more years out of those existing structures with all the embodied energy that went into the original building of them. We're also requesting property tax support for the transportation services or the buses for approximately $1,462,401, which costs an average homeowner in Dubuque about $23.07. And then we're proud of the fact that our parking requests no net property tax support. We're self-funded by generating funds between the parking ramps, the parking lots, and the meters. Our transit operations, we currently have 3 transfer locations. Our intermodal at 950 Elm Street, the Delhi transfer right next to Marie's Park at Allison Henderson, and then the JFK transfer location at the ARC building at 3355 JFK Circle. We operate 15 bus shelters, over 280 bus stops in the city. We run 13 light duty buses, 6 medium duty, and 13 heavy duty buses. And we've got many, many partners within the city of Dubuque that we enjoy working with and working for and assisting with all of the different types of rides. I also always like to give special thanks to Public Works. They do a tremendous job of keeping our streets clean for our buses to continue to run. Leisure Services, they help us with cleaning some of the areas around our buildings and stuff, the maintenance of the grass and snow removal down around the Port of Dubuque, parking ramps, et cetera. And then engineering is always supporting us with helping with signing and designing of different entities between both parking and our buses. Our COVID-19 safety measures that we put into place were very routine cleaning of vehicles and facilities. We have wipes, sprays, and disinfectants in all the buses. And if you ride our buses, you'll notice that the drivers are constantly wiping down touch points, keeping things clean. We placed shields in all of the buses to protect the riders from our drivers. We require all of our drivers to be wearing masks at this time and gloves if necessary while they're securing mobility devices to the floor of the buses. And then all of our riders are required to wear masks. And that is an FTA standard that we are required to follow. And during COVID, they funded us at 100% through a $3.6 million grant they awarded us. And during our normal mode of operation, they fund us at a 50% federal dollars, 50% local match. So when they tell us we have to mandate mask wearing, we do that for them to make sure we don't get in trouble. Our transit revenue sources, as you can see, federal assistance is normally 52%, state assistance 15, local funds 21, and then we generate 12% in passenger fees. But again, this year we have not done that. And our expenditure is 70% employee related. Vehicle related is 23, which would be fuel, maintenance, new motors, whatever it needs. Technology communication for our rangers and items that keep us on route. And then facility related, just running the buildings, et cetera, costs a little bit. You can see that our total rides in FY20 were very good, yet down quite a bit because of the COVID situation. And then this just kind of goes through and shows the type of fare types that we had. The U through K was 55,000. Well, this coming year and in the near future for quite a while, I'm hoping that we will be charging no fares for anyone 0 to 18 years old. Our total rides, including due ride for paratransit. And what paratransit is our door-to-door service where we take people that qualify by being either over the age of 65 or having disabilities. We take them wherever they would like to go. And they qualify also by not being able to use our regular buses for whatever reason. Maybe we don't go down their street or to their neighborhood. And we take them, again, wherever they would like to go. If they want to go shopping, to medical appointments, dialysis, to the casino, we're at their beck and call. And then this shows our historical ridership comparison for fiscal year 18, 19, and 20. And of course, we're down quite a bit 20 because of the pandemic situation and the reduction in hours. And we had a lot of places that were closed. So we weren't able to go and take people places if they weren't open. Parking operations, we currently service 7 parking ramps with 25, almost 2,600 rental spaces, 19 surface lots, over 2,000 metered on-street spaces, and then 8 residential parking permit districts, which are primarily around the colleges and high schools where some of the neighbors have had difficulty finding places to park when all the kids park on their streets. So we service those as well. Our parking division revenue is a total of $5,194,000 through, as you can see on the PowerPoint, a bunch of different types of funding sources. And our expenditures are $5,052,000, so slightly under. Our statistics for parking is in FY20, we issued 18,054 tickets and received $262,111 in revenue from those tickets. And then courtesy tickets issued were 4,540. So that is a loss of $45,000 $100,000 because what courtesy tickets are is a first time ticket on that license plate number for a meter violation. It kind of gives them a warning that, hey, you need to pay the meters when you park here. We had 463 total adjudications. And what that means is people that wanted to argue or ask for their ticket to be waived. Of those, 276 were approved and 187 denied. And approvals may be something like they parked in a disabled parking spot, forgot to hang their tag, but they were able to go get license plates for their cars. Then we were allowed to dismiss those tickets. Or if we had a problem with a meter, or if one of my parking enforcement officers made a mistake with the ticket, then we would approve that appeal. As I had spoke earlier, we had received $3,600,000 from the CARES Act, and that covered 100% of our operation costs from approximately March of 2020 through mid-March of just last month. Paid 100%. So it was nice. We have some funds that we were able to save that we had earmarked to do that, and we're able to roll those over for these next couple of years to help with some of the downfall or missed fair revenue collections, et cetera. So we charged no fares to passengers during that time, and we're proud of the fact that we didn't have any staff layoffs. Again, we did reduce hours, and the parking impact, we had lost revenue for 2 months because we suspended charging for the parking meters in the meter district. We lost approximately $129,000 when we did that. And then we suspended charging in the parking ramps and the lot leases for the 3 months ending fiscal year 20. And that cost us approximately $633,000. And we're estimating a parking revenue loss of $1.3 million for fiscal year 21. We had some recommended improvement requests. We have a small MV1 vehicle, which we use for special trips. Sometimes some of the other vehicles aren't available or don't fit perfectly. So we use this vehicle for special request trips, and also to transport our drivers at shift changes to and from the transfer locations. And we have budgeted for FY22 $1,280,000 for vehicle replacements, which would be buses, and $43,000 for bus stop improvements. Got a bunch of stuff in capital improvement projects. We're looking to get all of our parking ramps assessed in a maintenance plan, and that cost for this coming year will be $72,000. The DC charging stations in the JOTC is going to run approximately $273,000. We're looking at a new downtown parking ramp, possibly at a cost of $4,050,000 to start, but the total project would cost over $20 million range if that does happen. The smart parking system, we're asking for $379,000 to work that into the downtown and our ramps. Municipal parking lot maintenance, which would be like restriping and resurfacing some of the lots, at $16,000. And the Port of Dubuque is going to get some major maintenance done this year at $81,000. Our parking is going to issue an RFP request for a proposal to hire a consultant to scope a project to outline the best practices for the city ramps, service lots, and on-street parking in the historic millwork in downtown. And that was the smart parking platform I was kind of speaking about. We had some performance measures that were FY20 actual was 872 Facebook users and 389 Twitter users. And we're estimating that will increase a little bit. And then Notify Me subscribers, which people utilize when we have to take like alternate routes during the snowstorms and stuff. People can get on those to find out if we're doing that or if we're doing the alternate side parking for snow removal. The percentage of residents who live within a 5-minute walk from a bus stop in Dubuque right now is 92%. The percentage of schools within a 5-minute walk of a bus stop is 88.9%. And the percentage of annual, or the number of annual fixed route and minibus ridership in FY20 was 370, almost 377,000. And we know that the FY21, which started in July of 20, is going to be down a little bit yet just because of the COVID and the reduction in hours. For our parking measures, we're anticipating next year writing approximately 9,496 expired meter violations, 4,600 courtesy meter violations, approximately 2,000 alternate side parking citations, and 598 citations for disabled parking space violations. The ultimate goal would be have no violations, but we know that's probably not a realistic goal. And then our performance for our transportation services, we measure that through frequency of service, reliability of service, and efficiency of service. And that's it for that part of it. So thank you very much. I'm going to log on now to my iPad and take you for a little tour of our building. So bear with me while I'm doing that, please.
All right, we're gonna get an awesome tour, an actual live tour of our transit. Okay, so again, I wish, I look forward to the time that we're able to do these physically, but this is still going to be an awesome opportunity for us to be able to see just how the facility looks like. And I hear a bus passing by. Would you look at that? So let's see, Russ, I'm going to give you, there you are.
Here is.
Got you. There we go. And then just need you to stop the sharing on your desktop, I think.
Trying to do that. Okay. Can you see me?
Good. We're good to go. There you are.
Hi, guys, gals, everybody. So I won't keep this face on too long. I'm going to switch the camera view. So we'll start taking a little tour through the building. And the building I'm currently located at is the JOTC, the Jewel Operation and Training Center. And I'm going to start, flip the camera view so you can see this. And the first thing I'm going to point at is I open my office door. And you're going to think this is strange, but it's the floor. And the reason I'm doing that is it's kind of an interesting little tidbit about this building down here. This was built on the existing footprint of the old city garage. And underneath us, approximately 6 feet down, is a Superfund cleanup site. So they let us put this beautiful new building on the old footings and the exact footprint, but we couldn't dig down into the ground. And we've got a rubber bladder that separates. We've got about 6 feet of ground underneath us, and then this rubber bladder keeps the contaminated soil away from our building. And they're constantly testing wells around our building to make sure that that's being contained and we're all safe to work here. So this is our lobby area if you walk into our building. And then down this side is a set of offices, our operations supervisor's office, and my office. And I really hate to point the camera in there because it's always kind of messy. I'm pretty busy right now with the 2 jobs. This next office is our parking enforcement officers. You can see that they have the equipment that they take out daily. They use telephones to do the parking enforcement, radios that they're able to contact each other, myself and the police with if they have any issues. And then these are body worn, if I can get that out, this is a body worn camera. So any dealings that we have with citizens, we're able to record those. As you can imagine, sometimes citizens get a little irate with our parking enforcement when they receive tickets. As I move down the hall, this is our account clerk that takes care of payroll, the most important job in the building for us. Make sure all of our people get paid. And again, we have approximately 60 bus drivers, 11 full-time and 50 part-time. This is our circle conference room that we let other city departments or ourselves use, and it's kind of a neat little situation. It's a round table so everyone can face each other, and then we've got the ability to hook iPads or stream things in on our television as we go. Continuing down our hall, this next set of offices belongs to my two parking laborers that make sure all of our meters are working properly and the gate equipment and the parking ramps, and they take care of the parking ramps. That's the office that they work out of. Gonna go down this dark back hallway and into our conference rooms. One of the beautiful things that we have in this building is two large conference rooms, and the lights will turn on as we come in. As you can see right now, we've continued to allow conferences or meetings and stuff to happen in this location because we were able to set one chair at each table, maintain more than 6 feet of.
All right, I think we lost Russ. Oh, there we go. He's back.
Am I back?
You are back.
Oh, sorry about that. Just going to walk out the back of the building real quick and just show we also have a little courtyard for when we're having conferences. People can utilize this space to kind of relax or just get outside for a little while, enjoy lunch. We will continue through the building. As I'm coming down the hall here through the conference room, we have a little storage area where we keep all of the stuff that we need to keep our building running, and then extra uniforms for both parking enforcement and bus drivers. I've got to show you our nice little break room too, which where our drivers can come during the day when they have their lunch. We have some vending machines and some nice tables and a small kitchen area and dishwasher, which I think I'm the only one that uses that on a regular basis. As I continue down the hall, we have an IT room. My laborers that keep our buses running work out of this office. And then as we're coming down here, you'll see we've got mail slots for all of our bus drivers and then our dispatch center. And this is where our dispatchers work out of. They keep contact with all of our drivers and they set up all the rides for our minibuses each day. Person has to schedule a minibus 24 hours in advance ride. And we have someone in this room from 5 a.m. through approximately 7:15 p.m. each night. And then on the night rider nights, they would of course be here till 2:30 in the morning, and the bus drivers would finish at approximately 3 when they went down to fuel the buses. We're going to go into the garage right now, and this is where we store all of our buses. Some of the neat things about this building, you'll see all the buses are facing forward in this direction towards these doors. Well, the worst possible thing we can do with a bus is try to back them up, because as you can imagine, the limited vision you have going out the back and down through the mirrors of the buses, that we have it very well made now compared to our old building. We don't have to back anything up. The buses pull in the back of the building and I'll take you back there. And when they pull up to the front of the building, they park. There's pressure areas in front of each of these doors that when the bus pulls up and gets within approximately 10 feet, the doors automatically open all the way up, which allows the buses to pull out. Again, they come in the backside of the building, and I'll show you on the outside, we have the same types of systems. The first bus I'm going to show you is going to be one of our medium duty buses. And these are the ones we're getting away from right now because we've had some issues with engines and stuff. So we're trying to purchase new buses. But there's quite a bit of space in these for the passengers and mobility devices that we lock into the floor down in these tracks here. One of the problems or the things that we don't necessarily love about these buses is this is the lift. So these come out of the side of the bus and drop down to the ground and lay flat. But that's about a 4-foot lift, which can make some people kind of nervous going up. Our new buses that we've been purchasing are Gillig buses, or heavy duty buses, and we'll go into one of those next. These heavy duty buses have the ability to kneel the front of the bus down very low, and then this is a ramp that comes out of the bus and lays on the ground, so you're not lifting anyone 4 feet in the air. People can roll their mobility devices or walk right up the ramp to get into the buses and get into these. And again, there's plenty of ample room for mobility device storage. And here we secure them to the floor using these straps and lock restraints. And then there's also ample seating for ambulatory patients and rear doors to make getting on and off quicker and easier. As you can see, this is the shields that I talked about that we installed. I'm going to pull that down. So our driver's sitting in the seat right here, and they pull these shields down that protect them from any kind of water droplet or sneeze nuclei from getting near them. And it also protects the passengers from our drivers having the same type of situation. As you can see, we're getting more and more of the heavy duty or the Gillig buses, which is news for us. We got 4 ones this year, and we just got 7 of these new mini buses. And I will take us on to a minibus next. As you can see, the stairs for the ambulatory. Again, the shields that we utilize to protect the drivers, and then the space for the mobility devices. These also have the higher lifts. So we're trying to purchase electric minibuses that would be low floor and have ramps in them and not have to be required to lift people 3 or 4 feet into the air to get into the doors. I'm walking towards the back of the building right now. Each night when I'm going to take us into this minibus, one of our brand new ones, because the lights are still on in it, so you can see all of the space and how beautiful these brand new buses are. So each night as our buses come into the garage, they come into a wash bay, and we have one of the laborers every night sanitizes, cleans the inside of the buses, and then washes the exterior of the buses here in the wash bay. And you can see right now Rick's finishing up cleaning up the floor after he's finished for the night washing the buses. But we have hoses and air hoses on each side. We're also able to go up the stairs and clean the top of the buses if they need to be. Just going to point out the back of the building here real quick. This large space over here in our parking lot is utilized and leased by the Department of Transportation, the IDOT people, and they conduct all the CDL testing down here right now. And they're looking at trying to figure out if they can additionally add motorcycle testing to any space that we would have available down here. And there you can see across the street, perhaps, there's the truck that's actually doing some testing right now of the wells for the monitoring of the Superfund cleanup site that's underneath us. Additionally, in our building, you can see we have down there next to our buses, our parking laborers trucks that they utilize, and our parking enforcement officers. And then we have a few service trucks, driver transport vehicles, and these are the back of the buses. Again, those are the doors that if they're just coming in for routine maintenance or whatever and not needing to be washed, they can come in on the outside, they pull up to those doors, and they automatically open all the way. So again, we don't have to back anything up, which is wonderful for us. Then we've got a little maintenance room that our laborers use, and then kind of a neat little stairwell that goes up to the roof, but it's kind of scary, so I'm not going to go up that and show you that. It's steep and it's very high on the top of this building. Okay, as we walk back, I'm going to go back to my office, and I will open this up for any questions that anyone would have as soon as we get there. Okay, can you hear me yet and see me okay now?
Absolutely.
All right. So, yeah, I will open it up to any questions anybody has about anything with any of our buses, our routes, what we try to accomplish, where we go. Again, there is no fare charging at this point, and we're hoping to kind of keep that going for a little while yet. And again, anybody has any questions, please feel free.
I have both a comment and a question. The comment is my husband and I share our house with a blind friend of ours, and he has been using, since we moved here in February, he has been using the Jewel transport and has nothing but praise for it. He really is quite happy with how this gets him to and from everywhere he needs to go. So
Oh, that's
that's
wonderful to hear. Thank
and then my question is, for those of us not from the Midwest, does a parking ramp mean a parking garage, covered multi-level garage? Or are you just talking about a parking ramp?
Well, when I say parking ramp, those are the different ramps that we have throughout the downtown, like the Iowa Street ramp, which has both covered, you can pull in, and there's several floors of covered parking. There's also the rooftop parking. The 10th Street ramp, 10th and Central, behind the fire station, that has 7 floors that are covered and then rooftop parking. Our Locust ramp, like across from the Telegraph Herald, has several 3 floors that are covered in roof. Fifth Street ramp has 7 floors covered in the roof, and then the Five Flags and the Port of Dubuque ramp also have several floors that are covered. Still open air, so you can get some snow, some cold. They're not heated, unfortunately. But
So there's it's what we call in Idaho a parking garage.
yes, that would be
Yeah.
correct. We call them
Okay.
ramps.
It just confused me at first. They'd say a parking ramp, and I'm seeing a ramp, you know. I'm
Yep,
thinking that's not much parking.
that
But
is
thank
true.
you.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Good question.
Are the routes for the Jewel, they're posted online, aren't they?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep. So we run. If you're familiar, we have several runs that are operate just strictly on the east side, which would be the pink and the green. Our blue runs up the hill to the Mercy Hospital throughout the day and back down to the east side. Our gray runs strictly out of Delhi and JFK in kind of a circle area there, does not come back to the downtown. We have our brown and purple that runs strictly out of the JFK transfer location and go out to like Kohl's, Hy-Vee on the arterial, Walmart, Target. And then our orange makes a run both also downtown and up onto the hill and then down Grandview. And they're all published online, and you can also use the My Ride app to find out where the bus is, what time they would be due, or at any bus stop you're ever at, you can call us, give us the bus stop number, and we can tell you exactly what time the next bus will be arriving there.
Gotcha. Okay. I'd like to ride the bus, just to, I haven't ridden them yet 'cause I moved here in May and I honestly haven't really seen that many buses, but it must be because you've put less out and probably running less routes because of COVID.
Well,
Um,
and we do have some areas of town that we just don't run into. We kind of base our routes on the greatest area of need or the likelihood that we would get the most ridership. And we've adjusted that over the years. We used to run out all the way out to Key West to the driver's license bureau, but we were getting so few rides on that that we no longer travel out there just because of the lack of ridership. And then there's some other areas of town that that we just don't hit because of the lack of ridership. So depending upon where you live, that may be part of it as well.
gotcha. Yeah.
And Russ, correct me if I'm wrong. There is a pre-COVID. I know this that there's a certain amount of time that the bus routes were set that if you were at the bus stop that you wait I forget what the certain amount of time, but that was a rough estimate that we wanted the transits to be able to get to from one location to another, right? And I don't remember what the time, maybe 15 minutes or so, or
Well, we
something
always
like that.
ask the riders to be at the designated stop. So we have our routes that are timed. I have a specific time that the bus is supposed to go by that stop, and we ask that the riders be there approximately 5 minutes early. That way, if our bus is running a little quick, but we try not to do that. Like I explained to my drivers, they're never going to get in trouble if they're running a little late. But if they go past someone a couple minutes before they were supposed to be at that stop, they're going to have to do some explaining to me because we just don't allow for that. That's why we do though ask people to be a little bit early at each stop. And again, if anybody has any questions on what time a bus is supposed to go by a specific stop, you can call us or you can check online and it will tell you. So you are correct. Yeah. Try to be there just a little early.
I don't have any questions, but it's more of a comment. I'm actually a professor in the criminal justice program at Loras College. So I just wanted to say thank you for your service as a Dubuque police officer and for developing the community police program, because I've actually had some of your officers come speak in my police and society class this semester.
Oh,
It's been great
good.
for me and my students. So
Yeah. Great to hear. Like I say, it was a wonderful thing. We didn't really know what we were starting with in the mid 90s and then developed that into quite the program. And it's, I think, still doing tremendous things today. I like the whole concept of this problem solving approach, not let's just take everyone to jail and developing those personal relationships because people want to talk to an officer or maybe make them aware of a situation and we're driving by in a car with the window up, we're not going to hear them. But on a bicycle or on a foot patrol, we're very approachable and we'll come spend as much time as you would like with you just to sit and learn about stuff going on in the neighborhoods. It's a wonderful thing. So thank you.
thank
I
you.
have a question about the bicycle patrols.
Yes, sir.
I've seen bicycle patrols in Paris, France, and they were a motorized brigade of 4 in every instance. They were fully armed, and as I say, they were always in squads of 4. How does it work here? I haven't seen any yet. I'm just curious.
Well, we don't have any motorized bicycles. They're all foot or leg powered, and no more arming than just any other officer. Just your traditional department issued sidearm is all they have, and they're typically uh, 2 officers that are partnered together on those. And I know when I was doing it, we had 3 original ones. We had kind of a rotation. There would be 2 on the second shift, and 1 would work during the day alone. And I enjoyed, both of those. I enjoyed the evening partners, and also enjoyed the time that I had alone and able to spend in. We had sort of a target area back then. Our area was our community-oriented policing territory, which ran roughly from 20th Street south down to First Street, and then Bluff east to Elm Street, sort of that core downtown area. And it initially was developed, or the intent was to have it a walking uh, beat patrol where the officers, we were going to be out on foot, so we had that approachability. We went to a community policing conference in St. Louis and met some other community policing officers that were utilizing the bicycle as a method of getting around, because if we were on foot in this 1600 block of Locust and some type of situation arose down at Second and Main Street, it would take us a long time to walk down there, but the bikes we could get down there within minutes. So we kind of developed that idea, and we got I think it was the original Diamond Joe in the city of Dubuque donated money to fund the original bikes and uniforms and stuff for that, and it kind of grew from there. So yeah, it's a
So I guess
partnership.
I can assume Duke is safer than Paris, France.
I would bet that it is, but I'm not disparaging Paris, France. I've never been there though, so I can't speak to that. like to say that I would love to visit that country.
And there's a survey that goes out for the officers and who would like to have leg day every day because they're powering with their legs all day.
That right.
And I have some friends that that are also in that, and it's just awesome the conversations and the ability that they've had to build the relationships within the community. And I've actually been in communication with them for some projects too of how can we connect more with with the community and stuff like that. So it's an ongoing process of it's similar with city life is how do we get our community to know that and to engage in this part of making Dubuque this masterpiece on the Mississippi, and it takes each and every one of us being that part that makes it that bigger picture. And I didn't even know that you actually were part of creating that, and the founders, like that's awesome. So thank you for that, because things you get to learn also. I get to
Right.
learn too along the process. So
No, it was like I said, one of my best experiences. I spent 3 years in that, and then came back out and patrol. Then went to the drug task force for 4 years and promoted out of there. And then eventually, I received my captain's promotion by going back into and being the captain in charge of the community policing division, which at that time also was kind of directing the traffic unit, the school resource officers, and the housing corporal. So I really enjoyed my time there. And then eventually I moved back out onto the day shift patrol, and I enjoyed that as well. Just I was very, very lucky. Luckiest person in the world. I loved my job all those years, and still have a lot of those relationships and friendships with the current officers, as well as a lot of the downtown citizens that I got to be friends with and invited to dinners with and spending time with, just because we developed those relationships. And it would be funny, some of the criminals eventually stopped doing some things, and we would talk to them about, well, I can't believe you're not doing those goofy knuckleheaded things anymore. And they're like, well, now that we know you, it's kind of embarrassing to have you come arrest us. So we really, really appreciated that ability too, to have those kind of good circumstances occurring.
that's awesome. Thank you so much for that. All right. Does anybody have any last questions? So you got the opportunity to see the awesome buses, the bus system, how they operate. So now when you hear them or you see them kind of looking around, it's a different little picture, right? And I encourage you to share that information with your friends, your family, because again, even though you might have some friends or family that have been in Dubuque for a while, they may not know this information. They like for myself, being able to go through this process has really taught me a lot on how you can not only get around, how each department is close connected, right? As you saw, like how public works, you'd say, okay, public works and transit, what's the relationship? Hey, this is how they help out in the front side of being able to the streets, for anything that's going on, engineering, signing, all these things, and how we're all close connected. So as we have different departments within the city, we have different personalities, different experiences out in the community. And when we come together, we can make some powerful things happen. So thank you so much, Russ. Thank you for your time. Thank you for giving us this awesome tour. And just thank you for all that you do within our community. All right. So.